Welcome to Born to Win. I'm Brian Proctor, and each Monday I'll be sharing a short message to help you start your week with focus, clarity, and intention. Every episode is designed to remind you that success isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. You were born to win, and when you live in harmony with the laws of life, you begin to experience that truth in every area. Over the last month, we've been building a foundation for entering 2026 with intention. We've talked about habits, explored imagination, and uncovered desire. And last week, we shaped that desire into a clear, worthy goal. Today, we move to the step that activates all of it, the step that turns thought into movement. Today, we're talking about decision. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and let's get started. In the last episode, I said something that I want to repeat because it frames today's entire lesson. And that is this: desire moves into a goal, which moves into a decision. That is the sequence of creation. Too often we believe that the big changes in life will come from luck, timing, or circumstances. But that's not how transformation works. Transformation begins the moment you make a committed decision. Not when you have the plan, not when you feel ready, not when you know how. It's the moment you decide. Let me say this another way. A goal sets the direction, but a decision locks it in. When you make a committed decision, everything begins to shift. Your mind shifts. Your attitude shifts. Your energy shifts. Your actions and behavior shifts. Your awareness shifts. And suddenly, opportunities that were invisible before, they become visible. Why does that happen? It happens because the moment you make a real decision, your mind becomes laser focused. The decision removes the fog. It clears the view. Before the decision, your attention is scattered. Part of you wants the goal. Part of you is holding back. Part of you is waiting for certainty. But once you decide, your awareness, it sharpens. Your mind begins filtering the world differently. You naturally start noticing ideas, people, and possibilities that support your goal. You are now directing your focus instead of drifting, and your awareness becomes optimized for forward motion. And as you begin to see more opportunities, your belief grows. That is how decision works. It aligns your mind with your direction. The opportunities were always there, but now you can actually see them because you've cleared the fog. So why is decision so hard? Like many things, it's simple in theory, but difficult in practice. And the reason has nothing to do with intelligence, motivation, or discipline. It has everything to do with conditioning. Most people were raised to make decisions based on circumstances, resources, confidence, logic, fear, permission, probability, and what others expect of them. But none of those have anything to do with a committed decision when we are talking about a goal. A decision based on desire, not circumstances, is the kind of decision we're talking about here because it is these decisions that are going to take you from where you are to where you want to go. Last week, we talked about fantasy, theory, and fact in relation to goal setting. The trouble people often have is moving past the fantasy stage. They think about what they want, they imagine it, they feel the desire, but they stop there because they immediately start asking, how? How would I do that? How would I make it happen? And the fantasy collapses under the weight of logic. Leave the how alone for now. Instead, focus on these two questions. Are you able? And are you willing? Now, the first question, are you able? Well, the answer is pretty much always yes. Always. Being able has nothing to do with knowing how. You're attempting something you've never done before. Of course you don't know how yet. We are infinite beings with infinite potential. The only thing that limits us is our paradigms, our self-image, and deeply ingrained beliefs about what we think we can or cannot do. So the ability question is always yes. The real hinge point becomes the second question. Am I willing? This is where dreams either take root or die. Being willing means you've made a decision, a committed decision, not a hope so, not a maybe someday, but a real decision where you stop negotiating with your old self. But something you should understand is that willingness comes with a price. You must sacrifice, not necessarily in a negative sense, but in a universal sense. Val Vanderwall, one of my dad's early mentors, taught him that sacrifice simply means releasing something of a lower nature to make room for something of a higher nature. You give up comfort to gain growth. You give up doubt to gain faith. You give up old habits to make room for new results. That's willingness. And when you say, yes, I am willing, you've made a committed decision. A decision to hold the image, take the steps, and shift your mindset. A decision to move even when you feel fear and discomfort. A decision to trust in your goal more than circumstances. Because if you are able, and you are, and you've answered yes to are you willing, then the goal is already yours in your mind. It is at that moment that the law of attraction starts pulling resources, people, ideas, and circumstances toward you. Your awareness, it expands. Your vibration shifts to a higher level of understanding, and what was once a fantasy begins moving toward becoming a fact. During my 30 years of working with my father in the self-development business, I have observed this. People quit if they wait or hesitate. They quit when they pull other people or approval. Why would you ask someone for directions to a place they have never been? Another trap is to tell yourself, I'll decide when things calm down or once the timing is better. And guess what? Life goes by. Indecision is a real thief. It steals your potential while convincing you that you're being cautious and doing the right thing. But here's something you should understand. Indecision is also a habit, one that keeps you locked inside the life you already know. Nice and safe. Indecision is the cause of great confusion and mental chaos, whereas decision is the cause of clarity. Now, I want to tie this into belief and how decision creates identity. You see, you don't decide because you believe. You believe because you decide. Belief does not come first. Belief grows in response to a decision. Think about the last time you made a firm decision, a real one. It might have been a decision to leave a job or start something new, improve your health, or change the dynamics of a relationship. What happened after that moment? Your world reorganized itself around your decision. You began thinking differently. You started noticing possibilities that weren't there before. You behaved with more intention because the fog cleared. A decision is the starting point of an identity shift. Your new life does not begin when the goal is achieved. It begins when the decision is made to chase that goal. Now, here's a lesson I learned watching my father. For 60 years, I had a front row seat to observing the power of decision because I watched how Bob Proctor lived by this principle every single day. My father, he was a decisive man, not impulsive, decisive. When something aligned with his desire, he made a decision and he made it quickly. He didn't consult the bank account. He didn't ask 10 people if they thought it was a good idea. He didn't wait to feel ready. He decided and then he figured it out. He expected it to work. I watched him make decisions that made absolutely no sense on paper, decisions that others questioned or dismissed. And yet every time, clarity followed. Resources followed. The right people followed. And the right ideas followed. Not because he was lucky, but because decision cleared the way. It acts as a signal, and the universe responds to commitment. Where there is indecision, there is confusion. So let's talk for a moment about fear and decision. Later this month, I'll take a deeper dive into overcoming doubt, but let me just say this for now. Fear appears at the edge of your current identity. That edge is exactly where your desire is calling you. When you make a decision, fear doesn't disappear immediately. This is why you must be willing. Fear, it'll tell you to wait until you're ready. But you've done the work. You've identified your desire, you've set your goal, and your committed decision will build your belief and move you through that terror barrier. Remember that your goal exists in your conscious mind. A committed decision is what drops that goal into your subconscious, where behavior changes. You've got to be so committed that you say, by God, I will do this. Saying I want this is not a decision. Saying I'm trying is not a decision. Saying we'll see what happens, not a decision. A real decision sounds like this. I'm doing this. This is happening. I am committed. And it's followed by action. Not necessarily massive action, but consistent, aligned action. The small intentional steps that you take each and every day. I want to quickly walk you through what happens the moment you decide, because understanding it will help you trust the process. 1. First, your mind locks onto the outcome. 2. Next, it begins filtering information differently. You start noticing ideas, resources, and conversations that support your decision. This is your reticular activating system responding to your new internal command. 3. Your behavior begins to align with your decision. Your identity, it shifts, and your habits follow. And your environment, man, it responds. 4. As you move with clarity, the world mirrors it. People show up, opportunities appear, synchronicities happen, not because life changed, but because you did. Your external world is always reflecting your internal position, and decision places you on a new frequency. Years ago, I watched my dad make a decision that changed the direction of our entire family. He decided he was going to teach this material, not just study it. At the time, he wasn't a speaker. He didn't have an audience. He had no platform, but he had a desire, a goal, and he made a decision. Everything else grew from that. We are now in the first week of a new year. This is your opportunity to step into a higher version of yourself. Let this be the year you stop postponing the life that you want. Let this be the year you stop waiting for the right moment before you decide. Make a committed decision and watch the path open. Now, before I wrap this up, let's talk about your challenge for this week. This is a framework you can begin right now. I use this in my Proctor's Principles coaching program because it strips away confusion and gets right to the heart of the matter. 1, you need to first clarify your desire. You've already done this over the past few weeks. You know what you truly want, not what others think you should want. 2, now state your goal in the present tense. Use the formula my father taught. I am so happy and grateful now that, and then insert your goal. Make it in the present tense. 3, ask the question, am I willing and am I able? 4, identify the decision required. Ask, what decision must I make today that aligns with my goal? 5, make the decision without knowing how. This is the key. If you wait for the how, you could wait forever. And 6, act immediately. A small step is enough. Action signals to your subconscious that the decision is real. This process works because it mirrors how the mind actually changes. You go from decision to identity to behavior, and finally into the results. Don't wait for the fear to subside or for the resources to appear. Don't wait for permission. Your future begins the moment you decide. You will feel something shift inside of you, a strength and a certainty, not because everything suddenly got easier, but because you stepped into your power. Decision is where your freedom lives. Thank you for joining me today on Born to Win. Next week, January 12th, I'll talk about attitude, the daily choice that determines how you respond to your challenges when life inevitably tests your commitment. If today's message resonated with you, please share it with someone who could use a reminder of their own inner greatness. It also helps me reach more people if you rate and follow this podcast. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Brian Proctor Official. And remember, success isn't about luck or timing. It's about alignment. You were designed for success, built for expansion and born to win. I'll see you next Monday. Until then, think big, trust yourself, and keep growing.